Hello ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls and whatever else is watching. My name is Nick and I have to say, last chapter of Danganronpa 2 Goodbye Despair threw me for a loop. Damn, that was some kind of chapter and I'm worried what would happen if more people would start to remember who they were at school. Are they also going to go off on the deep end, or is this something else? Well, I'm curious for chapter 4 now, so let's begin. Whew.
Even if you didn't get behind Nekomaru, you should have been able to press the button on the back of his neck. As long as you had the power of the hamsters you keep with you.
Are you seriously saying he used his hamsters to press the button on the back of Nekomaru's neck?
Well, he showed off that those hamsters can do amazing stuff. For hamsters, they are really well trained. They push the button to call the elevator. They grabbed something from some high up in the previous murder case. Yeah, they can do pretty significant stuff, and if Nekomaru has to play 5 against 1, yeah, at least one of those hamsters should be able to get to him.
Of course that'd be impossible for a normal hamster, but it would have been possible for Gundam. In fact, we saw that with our very own eyes, right?
Emissary of evil, in accordance with our ancient contract, the time has come to lend me your aid. PS True Supernova Silver Fox Sandy! Choo choo choo! Click. Ah, it pressed the button? Truly, this is the skyline limitation art of the demon mouse. Soon, the door of destiny shall open.
Now that you mention it, after Ibuki was killed in the music venue, one of Gundam's hamsters retrieved the piece of wallpaper from the baton lighting, right?
Right.
Hey, with your friends and their exceptionally smart brains, it must have been possible to secretly get one of them behind Mechamaru and press the button on the back of his neck.
How about it, Gundam?
Not just myself, but you actually brought up how splendid my subordinates are. I have no recourse but to admit it.
Admit it? Did you say you admit it?
It appears I've obtained a one-way ticket to hell. Fine! Then you must trample me underfoot and advance.
Ouch. I think Sonia was actually in love with Gundam. The thing that Kazuichi is trying to get from her all this time. Gundam actually managed. Too bad he is the killer though. I thought it was Kazuichi and Gundam that would be in for it. Well, I got at least one of them right.
Victory can only be built upon a foundation of corpses. You cannot find peace without sacrifice anywhere. Now, trample this life. Trample it as though it were mere trash on the side of the road. Pull the curtain strings of this worthless performance with your own 2 hands.
Finish the thought. Okay, who set the the lounge's alarm clock? Alarm was set for 5:30. It's 2:40 right now. Is that this one? Yep. So next up, who was in the lounge since early morning? None of these guys. What time did Fuyuhiko see Nekomaru? Alarm set for it right now. I think that one. Yeah. Oh, this one is over there, so hamster, yeah. This one, oh yeah, this one doesn't have any. Nekomaru's weakness is... Those two are not here, so I need to find this one. He hang it. The killer destroyed what after leaving? The wire wrapped around Nekomaru's feet. Is that? Yeah. Okay. So when you press the button to grapple, hammer. No, that one isn't. Who was in the lounge since early morning? That would be Fuyuhiko. So the killers destroyed what after leaving the tower? The button, I think. Didn't he leave also something behind? What was the fake? That is the hammer. The fake weapon was the hammer. Who got it at the lounge? Well, meet up because there was Kazuichi, Fuyuhiko and Gundham. Then why did Nekomaru fall? Because the doorknob came off. And was that the last thing? Who heard the rumbling noise? That was pretty much everyone. Except those in the deluxe room. But there's not one that we need to have here. Okay, the killer destroyed what after leaving the tower? I think this. So you couldn't get in. That's there, so we don't have to, and that is there. So those two are not. Oh. No. Nekomaru's weakness is that I need to put him here. That's the correct position. I wasn't there yet. So this one was complete. The rest one, that one is Nekomaru's weakness. That's this. Huh? I have a feeling I have some different panels now out over here. The last one is.
Here's everything that happened
himself.
In this case. Let's first go over the many tricks the killer prepared before they committed the crime.
Okay.
First, they destroyed the contact elevator. This separated Nagito and the others in Strawberry House from our group in Grape House. Next, they lured Nekomaru out by himself by turning back all the clocks in the funhouse by 2 hours.
Maybe they did that one earlier.
In order to secure an alibi, the killer went to the Strawberry House lounge and set the wall clock's alarm to 5:30 a.m. After finishing their preparations, the killer went to Strawberry Tower with the necessary tools in hand. They obtained these tools from the Octagon, which you can enter once you clear the final dead room. This means the killer discovered the secret of the funhouse faster than anybody else. That secret being, Strawberry House and Grape House are actually the same building. On the morning of the incident, Nekomaru woke up and headed over to Grape Tower for a specific reason. There, Fuyuhiko, who was at the lounge by coincidence, witnessed Nekomaru. According to Fuyuhiko's testimony, that was around 5 a.m., but by that point, the killer had already messed with our perception of time.
That's true.
In actuality, Fuyuhiko witnessed Nekomaru at 7 a.m. That's also the same time Monokuma Tai Chi begins. Nekomaru went to Grape Tower to participate in that.
Weird that Fuyuhiko didn't try to catch up with Nekomaru and say, hey, why are you out of bed so early?
However, because the contact elevator was broken, Nekomaru was unable to go to Grape Tower.
I have to say that I find how they portray Nekomaru, like this walking, really it really emphasizes how robotic he has become. His arms straight swinging from side to side, stepping is pretty much straight up and swinging his foot so high and all that kind of stuff. It really makes it weird.
So he decided to try going to Strawberry Tower. But the killer was waiting for him there. With the power of hamsters, they were able to press the good night button on the back of Nekomaru's neck. This forced him to enter sleep mode, rendering him immobile. From there, the killer began preparing to use the ultimate weapon. First, they set the alarm in Nekomaru's chest to 7:30 a.m. so he'd wake up. Then they tied him up with a metal wire, tied the tip of the wire into a loop, and hung it on the doorknob. After leaving Strawberry Tower, the killer then destroyed the door button to Strawberry Hall. They did this to keep us from entering Strawberry Tower, and to keep us from discovering the secret of the building structure that they used to kill Nekomaru. Then, they used the secret octagon passageway to travel to Grape House. After arriving at Grape Hall, they pressed the button to open the door to the tower. When that happened, the elevator-like floor of the tower began descending.
I'm actually wondering what's going through Nagito's mind right now, because he wanted to do this early on. Wrap it up, and he was so getting into summarizing the case. But now it is Hajime again who does the summarization. I wonder what is going through his mind.
And Nekomaru's body was still inside, dangling upside down in midair from the wire. The killer entered Grape Tower to see if their setup was successful. And placed a hammer on the floor to look like the weapon, then wrapped a chain around the back door. This was done to make us falsely believe we couldn't enter the tower from Strawberry Hall. With this, the killer finished their setup and tried to go back to their room using the secret passage, so they could craft their alibi when Nekomaru died from the fall. But something unexpected happened. Fuyuhiko, who saw Nekomaru earlier, was still at the lounge. As a result, the killer couldn't return to their room, and with no options available, time ran out. The lounge's wall clock alarm started ringing at 5:30. Well, actually 7:30. To avoid a worst-case scenario, the killer was forced to appear in front of Fuyuhiko with the others. When the wall clock's alarm rang, that was also the same time Nekomaru was waking up. He woke up while he was still hanging upside down, so he couldn't help but sway his body powerfully. Originally, the loop of wire was only supposed to slip off the doorknob. But because there was a heavier load than expected, the doorknob ended up breaking. Nekomaru fell from the 4th floor all the way to the 1st floor.
Also, the doorknob broke because Nekomaru already cracked it at the beginning of the chapter.
He crashed into the pillar, which decapitated him on impact, and died. The sound of Nekomaru's impact echoed throughout the funhouse. However, by this point, the killer's plan was about to fail, thanks to the broken doorknob and Fuyuhiko. Meaning, the killer is someone who wouldn't have heard the alarm if they were in the deluxe room. They also wouldn't have been able to return to their guest room, because Fuyuhiko was at the lounge.
That they wouldn't have been able to hear the sound because they were in the deluxe room is not necessarily accurate.
That someone is Gundham Tanaka. I can't think of anyone else but you.
Splendid. That was splendid. For a mere human, you did quite well.
Stop. Stop it already. Stop using weird words to avoid the truth. Or I'll friggin' kill you myself! I cannot believe it. I just cannot believe. You killed Nekomaru? I cannot believe something like that!
Believe it.
You don't wish to forgive me? Do you feel regret? Then finish it! Cast your impure votes for Gundham Tanaka! My beloved, deadly foes, let the voting time begin!
Ouch. He is eager to go. But I mentioned earlier that because it was Gundham, having him in a deluxe room or even outside was not necessarily a bad thing, or that he could not give a alibi for why he was there, or for why he could hear the sound. Gundham is the ultimate breeder. He had his 4 hamsters. He could have said that he woke up in the night to go to the garden in the 3rd floor of the strawberry house to feed his hamsters. It's a pretty much ritual thing to do, that you could do. Then he would have been outside. Considering it's probably, he also tells the time at a certain point, he probably would also have something. That would have been a bigger or a better answer to why he was not in his room at the time, than going to the bathroom. It's a structured thing. Having that as a coincidence, it's not a coincidence, because the killer can also work around that and try to frame him. That's a valid point. Another thing is that he is a breeder and he has hamsters. Maybe he doesn't go feed him during the night, but the hamsters still are somewhat nocturnal and they do need to eat. And maybe he thinks, if they can walk the stairs that is, and they can do amazing things. We've seen that. I don't know if they can also open a door. Maybe they can, maybe they cannot. But he can also say that he sleeps with the door opened for a bit because he doesn't have the nourishment for the hamsters in his own room. There is nothing to feed them, and if the hamsters get hungry, they need to be able to go outside, to go upstairs to the garden. And that's why he has his door partially opened. A partially open door also means that the noise installation goes right out of the window. And he could have heard the alarm clock go off. Although a little bit muffled maybe. But that would also be a valid point to counter-argue. That he did not do it. Maybe the hunger, or he just did not want to survive this. And maybe that's why... Oh yeah, that's... Yeah. That's why he just didn't see what he needed, what he wanted to do. And that's also what I think kind of drives him. To summarize this entire chapter, I thought this chapter was really awful, but also really amazing. The amazing part about it is that this gave a motive from Monokuma. He did something, they were in their own cottages, and they were taken out of that environment into a situation that is totally Monokuma. Just give a motive that, well, go hungry, starve to death if you don't do anything. That's your choice. In order to motivate them to kill. That's so Monokuma, and it is so great set up. And that's so fantastic. Also, even the escape room part. Okay, I am a little bit rusty in the puzzles, but it was really well set up. It was really well done. The octagon, well, there was the thing for the window with the investigation. The only thing with the investigation was that window part. That's something I thought, okay, that was bullshit. But for the rest, the investigation was really nice. Especially because you also had to go from the point of view of Nagito. You got to play with Nagito. You had two separate areas that you had to investigate separately. And being able to play with Nagito for a while was really amazing. The trial was, again, also really good, with a few exceptions on it. There were some things that I thought, okay, they are repeating a little bit, or the things are not that straightforward. Really, the first time I got frustrated by a lot of things, especially the action phases, are really, really bad. Hangman's Gambit, I think, is god-awful. They really ruined that part. It's something that I can legitimately say that, hey, if you have to do a logic dive, if you have to do the Hangman's Gambit, if you have to do those panic talks, yeah, then someone might say, okay, I'm not going to continue playing this game. Because this game, that doesn't make this game fun. Actually, it makes it not fun at all. It frustrates and it bores. At a certain point. And you don't want to play a game like that. Having said that much, the other really big awful thing about this chapter was the walls. Seriously, it pained my eyes so much that I had to force myself to go on those free time events. Otherwise, I would just have gone to bed, rushed through the chapter and get it over with. because the walls in the strawberry house, in grape house, and even here in the trial room now just hurt a lot. This was not fun. Not fun at all, in that sense. So yeah, I'm a little bit dubious about this chapter. The previous chapter, it had just an awful investigation and murder sequence. Although the part before it was okay, was actually really nice. But this was just the setting. Oh, if they had lowered the bit on the strawberry house part of how it looked, made it less unsettling for the player, then it would have been better. Again, this was not the strongest chapter.
This result isn't all that exciting. Now then, please pull the lever in front of you and cast your vote. Who will be chosen as the blackened? Will you make the right choice or the dreadfully wrong one? Please pull the lever! Crap! I bit my tongue at the most important part!
That occasionally happens to me as well. Talking and I'm biting my tongue. And that's painful. That's really painful.